the first kid I wrestled, I grabbed him by the legs, I picked this guy up, and I slammed him. And immediately I got up and was thinking, oh, they're going to take me to the office right now.
Welcome to another Total Talk podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Perla. And today we're here with Andres Barragan. We're going to talk about wrestling. So all you wrestling fanatics, fighting fanatics, athletic fanatics, you're in for a treat today. So I'm happy to introduce Andres Barragan with us.
How's it going, guys? Andres Barragan here. I'm a wrestling coach. I'm out in Reno, Nevada. I'm originally from Gilroy, California. I grew up out there. I wrestled out there most of my life, me and my brothers. We moved out here, and now we have our own club out here, and we coach at a high school.
Yeah, so going back to your Gilroy days, I know that everybody knew you in Gilroy for your wrestling and in the Bay Area with all these tournaments going on. If we can go back to your early days of how you got started, what motivated you or inspired you to go into the wrestling world?
Honestly, I think I was in 7th grade, right? And about 12 years old. My mom and my dad had split up, and I was always super angry. And one day we were in PE, and I tell this story to my wrestlers all the time. This is why I fell in love with wrestling. We're in PE, right? My PE coach, his name was Coach Marr. He's a legend. The junior high South Valley, their gym is actually named after him. We're in PE, and he used to teach a wrestling class. And we're out there wrestling, and they'd play this game called King Kong. We'd get in a big old circle, and you'd wrestle as many kids as you could and beat as many kids as you can. You wouldn't get out until you lost, so you just go down the line. And I remember the first kid I wrestled, I grabbed him by the legs, I picked this guy up, and I slammed him. And immediately I got up and was thinking, oh, they're going to take me to the office right now. Just might as well walk myself on down to the principal. And I had this look on my face, and Coach Marr runs up excited. And he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, no, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to slam him. I didn't mean to hurt him. And he's like, no, that's wrestling, baby. That's what wrestling's all about. And I remember vividly, I fell in love with wrestling that day. And from then on, I took a liking to it, and I became obsessed with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So basically, even going back to your early days of wrestling, the aggressive part of it, right? I think, as kids, we always want to be rough, where, we're just acting wild, Yeah. So what's like one memorable moment, through your childhood of wrestling where it's just like, like this is it. Like, I know this is my life. I know for the rest of my life, I'm going to be in the world of wrestling, from even coaching now, as like you said, you're a coach in Reno right now. So you breathe wrestling, right? So it runs in your blood. So what's like one memorable moment of all your tournaments that you've been involved in that you can remember, and you're like, dude, like this is it. This is gonna be like wrestling for the rest of my life.
It's crazy how things come around full circle. So we would come out to Reno when we were younger every year, twice a year, December and April. We'd come out here and we'd wrestle. And I remember I was a sophomore in high school. We came out here for Reno TOCs, which is super tough tournament, one of the top 5 toughest tournaments in the country. Top 3, they're all American. We went out there as a team and we're wrestling. And I remember we took a bunch of pictures, right? And then I remember this is a picture that I have in my wallet to this day. And it's a picture of my mom, my brother Luis, who's 2 years younger than me, and our baby brother Juan. And it's them here in Reno at the Silver Legacy. And it's just a picture of them. And I remember when I got a copy of that picture, looking at it and just thinking, this is our life. This is our life. And my mom, Juan, and Luis, they'd travel everywhere with me. They were always there. It didn't matter if we were in LA, if we were in Reno, if we were in San Jose, Fresno, they were there. And I clearly remember looking at that picture and a couple other ones and just thinking, this is our life. This is what we do. and just like falling more in love with it. And I know that my mom being there and my brothers had a huge part in making me fall more in love with wrestling and just like motivating me. So clearly that picture, that weekend, that's a memory that I'll hold on to forever. And it's nuts how it just goes full circle. And now we're all out here in Reno, doing our thing, trying to give back to the community through wrestling.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I know that Gilroy High School put your name on the banner too, right? So you're when kids come, you're already printed in Gilroy, right? So all these kids who are going into high school, they see your name as one of the greatest Gilroy wrestlers, in the city. So how does that make you feel knowing that different generations are coming in and they see Andres Barragan, they see your brother, they see you there. How does that make you feel?
There were a lot of great wrestlers that come out of Gilroy. A lot of great
Yeah,
wrestlers.
definitely.
There were a lot better ones than me. It's cool to even be in that group. And so in Gilroy right now, in their wrestling room, they have a picture. I had a parent send it to me a few years ago. There's a banner there. It's a big old thing on the wall, and it has all their section champions. They have multiple ones, right? And he sends it to me, and my name's on there, and my brother's name's on there, and it's crazy to be a part of that, be a part of that with that group. And then we're yet to take our team to Gilroy, but we're going to get out there soon. And it's
Yeah.
going to be cool for them to see that, to see our names up there and to just know that that's where we come from. Gilroy's, and especially now that Gilroy's always been super tough and they're continuing to evolve. And now that they have DC as their head coach,
Yeah.
they're hitting all these crazy national tournaments. They're everywhere right now. They're doing huge things. So it's just cool to be a part of that, to be in there with, to have your name in there with like some of the greatest guys that we look up to, even kids that were younger than us. I'm telling you, there's a lot of great kids that come out of Gilroy.
Yeah, exactly. And the crazy part is you have Daniel Cormier, right? A UFC legend. He goes into Gilroy, he goes into the gym, and he sees your name. What does that even mean to you? You know what I mean? Like sometimes we take things for granted, like, oh, okay, it's whatever. But when you sit there and you're like, these legends are walking into this gym and seeing my name as one of the greats, that has to inspire you, motivate you, right?
It's crazy. It is crazy. DC's a good guy too. The first time that we met DC, me and my brother Luis met him. We met him in Vegas. We were at a weigh-in. He had just made 205s for the first time, and we were in like a back area we probably shouldn't have been in. DC's walking up, and he's got his crew with him, and a couple of the guys were like, "No, he's not talking to anybody right now," which we totally understood. We know how it is to cut weight. We don't want to talk to nobody. And I yelled out, "Hey, we're from Gilroy." And as soon as I said that, DC told him, "Hey, it's cool." He came over. He gave us a hug. Excuse me. He signed a glove for me that I have to this day. It was just super cool. Fast forward now, when we see DC, he shows our family a lot of love. He shows my mom love. And he's a good dude. And it's cool to just, like I said, to like be a part of that with those guys. I was tough. I wasn't one of the greatest guys to come out of Gilroy by far. I was definitely tough, but to be in that category with those dudes, to have my name in that room with those guys, and then to have that coach there as a coach now, and to just see all that, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then the discipline it takes, right, to be a wrestler, cutting weight, right? So when you were cutting weight at that age, I think you wrestled around 189, right? 187, 189 at that time, right?
Yep.
So at that time, it was hard to cut weight. I remember you were talking about just cutting all carbs, right? Basically.
Yeah. Yep.
So how was that? So what's the mentality of being a wrestler, right? Because it's not just going into a gym and yeah, you can do it for recreation, but when you want to be the best and you're entering tournaments, you have to be disciplined. So can you take us to that mindset of how it is to be disciplined, to eat right, to work out?
It's tough. You really have to be mentally strong and disciplined. And that all comes with everything you're doing in the wrestling room. If you're listening to your coaches, you're developing discipline. If you're quiet when they're talking, if you're hustling when they're calling you in, if you're working hard, and if you're holding yourself accountable, it all falls into being disciplined, which in turn falls into your diet. If you don't have all that other stuff, you'll never be able to make weight or cut weight. And here's the thing, there's kids who cut weight the wrong way, and there's kids who do it the right way. If you're disciplined, you can cut weight the right way, and you're not having to starve yourself. You're not having to miss meals. You're not all sucked up. You're not hurting and malnourished, but you got to do it the right way. And in turn, you got to be disciplined. I was very, very fortunate enough to have an amazing coach, Greg Varela. He's actually the head coach at Los Gatos now. He was the head coach at Gilroy for years. 2-time coach of the year in California, one of the greatest coaches to ever come out of California. And he really helped me with my diet. He made sure I didn't miss a meal. I was constantly eating, but like you said, no carbs. We cut a lot of that out. We had a lot of chicken breasts, a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, yogurt, stuff like that. And he knows I don't like yogurt, but he'd still give it. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to have him, and he really made sure I was disciplined. And like we're human, we're gonna fall. So it's good to have a strong coach guiding you and holding you accountable, because you're gonna slip up. That's okay. You just got to get back up and continue to diet and eat the right way. Yeah,
and speaking more of Greg, he is the one who brought you in, right? He brought you into his home, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. See, so a lot of times people, when you say there's a coach, there's more than coaches, right? There's life coaches, mentors, and he brought you in almost like a father figure. He showed you the ropes, and he played a big impact in your life. So how was it going from living with your brother, living with your mom, going into the coach's house? Now you're living with the coach. So how did that lifestyle change?
It was a huge change. It was a huge change. Like you said, you have a mentor, you have a coach, you have all that. I never understood all that. My brother Luis used to tell me, because he's been coaching longer than me, we're not just wrestling coaches. You're going to be a life coach, a therapist, a mentor, a doctor, an ear for somebody to just talk to. You're going to be everything these kids need. And it's crazy because that's what Greg was. My dad really wasn't around. He wasn't a good dad at all. And I didn't have a male figure to guide me or show me the right way or right from wrong. My mom, as solid as they come, right, did everything she could. But at the end of the day, a boy needs a male figure, even if it's to kick him in the butt. And just super fortunate to have met Greg. What happened there was I was off the hook. I had a lot of stuff going on. I had a lot of anger in me towards my dad, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And through wrestling, I started to learn how to deal with it. I met Greg. Greg took me under his wings. He did a lot for me. He sent me to wrestling camps. He paid for my gym membership, mine and my brother's. He really invested in us, and he never asked for anything in return. He was always there for my mom when my mom needed him to take care of things with us or speak to us or just anything. He was always there. And it came to a time where stuff was weird at home. I was a little punk sometimes, and my mom, she had to work, full-time job. She was raising all of us. She was keeping up with the house. She was at every tournament every weekend. And she just to say, hey, man, maybe if you want, you go stay with Coach Greg for a couple of weeks, and maybe that'll help you out. We'll straighten you out. And in that, maybe you learn to appreciate us here at home more. So we did that. I went and I ended up staying the rest of the season. It was amazing. The transition was tough because Greg, he showed me a lot of love, but he didn't take any crap from me. He didn't let me do the things that other people would let me get away with. And he held me accountable, and he brought out the best in me. So, and I realized that shortly after, when I started winning more and I started thinking a little differently, and he worked a lot on my mind, and he got me over that hump where I could start really beating people. So it was the best thing that could have ever happened, moving in with Greg. And then in turn, the next year I went during the season and I stayed with him again. He opened up his house to me, him and his wife, Jen. They're just like a second mom and dad to me. Greg's definitely like a dad to me. To this day, we talk. He's my mentor, and he guides us. He helps us out. And why not have one of the best coaches in California and in the country in your back pocket, helping you and guiding you as you and your brother are trying to build a program and a dynasty yourselves.
So, a lot of people need this father figure in their life, right? I mean, your mom did the best she can as a mother, but Coach Gray coming into your life, instilling discipline into you, not only that, but controlling your emotions, right? It's huge because preparing for a tournament, any tournament, it doesn't have to be wrestling, doesn't have to be fighting. It could just be life in general. It can be just going into your job. If you're emotionally just out of control, then you're already lost. Your day's going to be ruined. So the fact that he showed you how to control your emotions, mentally, how to be disciplined, how to control your body, and now you're a coach yourself, right? So now everything that he taught you, you're teaching it to the new generation, to these new kids, So let's go into the tournaments, right? You're entering these tournaments as a kid, right? All the stress that is on you, all the anxiety that is on you. How did you deal with the losses? Like, what was one of the biggest losses that kind of like still haunt you to this day? And how do you just overcome that emotionally?
So when I first started wrestling, the wins and losses, they didn't really affect me, which was good. Our coaches were amazing. They did a really good job of making sure that we were able to just shake that off. You got to have a real short memory as a wrestler. You could lose a match, your first match, have to battle back and try and take third, And it's tough, but there's one that haunts me. You know what I mean? Haunts me to this day, and but in a good way. It's motivating. And the cool thing about wrestling is it really teaches you about life. Life's gonna knock you down, right? Like in a match, particularly the story I'm about to tell you guys. But it teaches you to dust yourself off, get back up, get back on your horse, and keep going. There was a guy that I used to wrestle. His name was John Hall. He was from Palo Alto, tough as nails. I wrestled him, I believe, my sophomore year the first time, and he beat me to medal at the section tournament, so I got put out. The next year, I came back. I remember I trained all summer. Greg sent me to Virginia, so I went out to Virginia and I did a camp. I was out there for a couple weeks, and we trained hard all summer. We lifted, we hit the hill. We really, really got after it and took advantage. That next year, I come back and I wrestled John Hall in the section finals. I was a number 4 seed, and I don't remember what he was seeded, but I was 4. I wasn't supposed to be in the finals, yet alone win it. And I remember the night before, Greg, and I know I talk about Greg a lot. I have so many memories that I want to share with you guys. I remember the night before we're at Greg's house, and we decided to shave my head, right? I wanted to shave my head, and I just wanted to go out there ready for war. And I cut all my hair off, shaved it. And I remember him telling me, "You're going to get everybody. We're going to get everybody this weekend. You're going to shock everyone. We're going to win it." And I believed it. I believed everything he told me, everything that man told me.
Yeah.
And we beat him. We got after it. I beat the number 1 seed, lost first match. I wrestled the dude who beat him. My third match, I think I might have teched the dude. If not, I definitely majored him. Right, get into the semis, and then I'm in the finals. We make it to the finals. John Hall's in the finals, and I beat John Hall in double overtime. I got out on bottom, beat him. It was insane. Everybody, and it's still like this to this day. Everybody out in that area, they hate Gilroy, right? They hate them. Gilroy wins a section every year, 20-something section titles in a row, and it was like that back then. And I remember before the match even started, getting booed. And just people screaming. And I remember looking into the stands and pointing to my thigh where the Gilroy Mustang was.
Yeah.
And then going like this to everyone. And we fast forward. I win in OT or double OT. I get out and I'm on my feet. The guy's sitting down. And I remember just screaming, and it was unreal. And it was one of the highest highs in wrestling I'd ever had. But like life, you're going to see some real lows. You fast forward to the next year, trained all summer, did everything right, worked hard. I ate right. I worked hard. I was at every workout, extra runs, everything you could do to get ready. I was ready. Wrestled John Hall in the finals again. Everyone's going nuts. It was the most anticipated match of the section tournament. And I lose to the guy, right? In regulation. I think he beat me 3-2. And it was heartbreaking. It hurt. I was devastated. I'm pretty sure I cried, and Greg lifted me up and we got right back to work. And it was one of the lowest lows I'd ever felt in wrestling. But it got me ready for life, you know. It's okay. It's just a loss. You dust yourself off and you keep going. And at the end of the day, you know, I'm doing good. I'm healthy. I'm coaching. John Hall, he's doing great. He's healthy. And everyone's good. God's good. So wrestling got us all ready. And it's a beautiful thing.
Man, so you had this high and then you had this low in wrestling, right? And at what age was this? You were what, 15, 16 at the time, maybe?
I think I was 16 and 17. 16 when I won it, maybe 17, and then 17 or 18 my senior year when I had lost to him.
Yeah, so you know, you had these experiences at a young age. You were a kid, right?
Yeah.
A kid going through all of this, but at the same time, you had a Greg to lean on as well, and your mom.
Yes, well, my mom, huge part. Yes.
Yeah. So entering these, then you have your brother going too, right? You had your brother in wrestling. So then not only that, you were coaching when you were young too, because you had to coach your brother too, right? Your younger brother at that time.
Yep.
So then everything that Greg taught you, you taught your brother as well. So you're passing it on. So then now you became a father figure for your younger brother as well. So if you can talk to us about how was it like guiding your brother, because you're the one who created the path of wrestling, right? You created the path, you got your brother into it, and then on top of that, you have a baby brother that you guys both helped coach.
Yes. Yep.
So how was it going through two different generations and helping them go into their journey in wrestling?
They were both completely different, but in good ways. In good ways. I'll start with Luis first. So it was crazy because I was a senior and Luis was a freshman, right? And then I moved on. I went out to Fresno City College, and I was out there for a while. Ended up going back home. Well, when I was out there, Luis was a sophomore, and this kid just exploded on the scene out of nowhere. Started pinning guys. He won the section that year and was just really, really getting after it. I ended up moving back, and then his junior and senior year, I really started to work out with him. His senior year, I was able to coach him. I was in the corner. I got to coach him at the state tournament. I got to coach him at Reno TOCs where he All-Americaned, which was amazing for us to be able to experience that together. And that was we really became best friends. And I'll never forget those memories. I'll never forget the little things like when they called his name and he knew who his opponent was and we're in the tunnel getting ready, just standing by him, just feeling those things. And I would get more nervous than when I would wrestle. My palms were sweaty, and he was a monster. He pinned a lot of guys. He was in the finals of a lot of tournaments his senior year. He was one of the top 10 best guys in the state of California. So he won a lot. I didn't really have anything to be nervous for, but I was nervous. And we got super close. We worked out together. I was his partner. And he was big, a lot bigger than me, a lot stronger than me. And he had a gas tank on him. So we had to start bringing in partners, right? So my buddies who'd wrestled with me, we had a 215 pounder. And then we had a heavyweight, Daniel Gomez and Louis Chavez. They'd come. There was another guy from a town close by, Buddy Barraza. He would come, and Luis would just run through us one by one by one.
Yeah,
and then we'd come again and come again, and it was amazing because we got really, really close. And like I said, I got to coach him at the state tournament, and we just really bonded. And it was an amazing experience. Those memories I'll have forever. I tell stories of them today. And yeah, the guy was an absolute killer. So you can only imagine how I felt. I'm walking around with this 6-foot monster who's sticking everybody, and
Yeah.
we're on top of the world. And then with Juan, completely different because Juan was more of a free spirit. He's a lot younger than us. He's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
9 or 10 years younger than us. So we let him do his thing. We had just moved to Reno. He trained in Gilroy when he was younger. We'd moved to Vegas and he wrestled at a club out there. And then we had made the move to Reno and he did really well. His senior year, he wasn't going to wrestle. We had some issues and a lot of family things going on. My mom had some health stuff going on, but my mom insisted that Juan wrestled, and Juan decided to wrestle. The guy ended up winning a regional title and making it to the state finals out here in Nevada. And it was super special too because he was a free spirit. He did his thing on his own. We'd give him advice in that, but me and Luis weren't in the wrestling room. We weren't really. We tried to get into that wrestling room, and it never really worked out. So we had to teach Juan stuff from afar. But like I said, it was beautiful because he accomplished a lot of things, and we were there to experience them. The state tournament was in Vegas, so me and my wife, my brother Luis and his wife, we traveled. We all went out there, and it was amazing. So I'm just super fortunate to have experienced those things with my brother. I don't know if I would have been able to experience that stuff if I was playing basketball or baseball,
Yeah.
Something like that. And but yeah, man, it's been amazing being able to just like pass that stuff on. And I'll tell you right now, of all my brothers, they're better than me at wrestling by far. The middle one, Luis, he was a 2-time All-American, by far the best. Juan, super tough, the state finalist. So yeah, it was cool to have paved the way and got everybody into it. But man, these guys were absolute killers.
Well, if you think about it, who mentored them, right? You're the one who's bringing giants to wrestle against your little brothers, right? So it makes sense that they have more experience because you're grabbing your experiences and then you're showing them to your brother. You're teaching your younger brothers.
Yes. Yep.
Right. So, it is crazy. You have 3 brothers, no sisters, right? All wrestled, all athletics. And now you and your younger brother are now coaching in Reno, the Sparks area, right?
Yep.
So how was that transitioning going from wrestling, then coaching your brothers, then taking like a time off from like I wouldn't say the wrestling world, because I'm sure you were still watching wrestling, you were still focused because that would never leave you. But now taking a couple of years off, you're with your wife. Now you have 3 daughters, I'm sorry. And now you're back into wrestling after a couple of years. So how transitioning from not coaching and not really getting your hands dirty to now it's just like, now I'm with all these kids now and I'm wrestling now. And do you get any like flashbacks or,
Yes.
doing that?
All the time. It's crazy. Sometimes it's surreal, but it's amazing. I love coaching wrestling. I love coaching wrestling more than I loved wrestling. I'll be honest with you. Every day's a new day. It was crazy how it all happened. Like I said, we all moved out here. We were looking for somewhere to let our kids wrestle, right? And we just wanted to mop mats. We wanted to get in there and mop mats and just be flies on the wall. Well, my brother, he starts coaching, and next thing you know, there's a club looking for a coach and they need a guy, and they were going to close the club down, right? They were just going to be done with it. And my brother stepped up and he said, I'll coach, I'll take over. So he starts coaching it. I'm in there a couple times here and there, but I wasn't committed at all. Not at all. He was doing it all solo by himself. And he's doing his thing, and COVID hits, right? So it's a big old standstill. Nobody's really training, right? Everything loosens up, and then stuff really starts to pick up. So my brother really gets after it. He was an amazing wrestler, even better wrestling coach. He blows my mind sometimes. And he got the ball rolling. He got the ball rolling. He got our club going, and he's leading us right now to this day. He's our guy. He's the head coach. I'm his assistant. We have other coaches too. We have Coach Kenny, an amazing guy. We have Coach Luke, another amazing guy. Coach Angel, our other brother, Coach Juan, helps us out as well. We got Coach John. We got a lot of people, and Coach Kenneth as well in there that are really trying to help. And we have the right leader. And it's amazing to be able to coach with my brother and to give back. And now that our kids are wrestling, sometimes it's surreal. I love it. I love it. So like I said, we have our own club, Predators Wrestling Club. It's out here in Sparks. We practice at a Hug High, and we really get after it. Right now we have about 30 kids, and it's our off season. So we got a preseason schedule going. We're anticipating as soon as football season's over and we get all our other kids back, about 70 kids. So
wow.
Yeah, that's so. If kids right now that are listening, that want to go into wrestling, but maybe they're underweight, maybe they're not motivated, maybe they're shy, what advice could you give them right now to just say, hey, you know what, just go and do it, go get your feet wet? Or what advice could you give these kids right now? Because I know there's a lot of kids who are intimidated, right? They want to go into wrestling, but they just feel like they're too skinny. Maybe they're too overweight, right? So what advice could you give them right now to actually get in there?
Tell them this: wrestling's for everyone. It doesn't matter. The cool thing about wrestling is there's weight classes, right? So you could weigh 70 pounds as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, and you're going to wrestle other kids that are 70 pounds. So for me, for example, when I started wrestling, I was short and round, but there were other kids that were short and round. So we're going at it. We're all getting motivated. We're getting after it. And the weight starts coming off, right? And it's coming off. And then next thing you know, I'm looking and feeling like a wrestler. And that's the cool thing about wrestling. You could be tall, short, wide, round, skinny. It doesn't matter. Wrestling's for everyone. It's not like football where if you're a lineman, you have to be 6'5". You know what I mean? You can have a 125-pound college kid wrestling other 125-pound college kids. And that's the cool thing about wrestling. So I'd encourage them, get out there, try it out. The cool thing about wrestling is, for me, it builds confidence. It makes you a more confident person. It teaches you that through hard work, you're going to get better. And as you get better, you see that. A kid sees that. They know they're getting better. So next thing you know, their confidence is a little higher. Next thing you know, they're walking like this with their shoulders out and their head high. And that's the cool thing about wrestling. So I'd encourage a kid, go out there and try it. There's a lot of good clubs out there. There's a lot of clubs that it's more than wrestling. They play games. They have fun. They do events. They do team building things. So it's not just wrestling. And I just tell them, get out there and give it a try. There's a lot of clubs that'll give you free trials and let you try it out before you pay for it. So take advantage. If there's kids out there listening and you're on the fence, go try it out. Go check it out. Especially if you're in the area. Our club's always accepting kids. We're growing, and we're growing fast.
If you can share to the viewers as well, the kids listening, where your club's at, like where could they go, and then they can, go to your club and see if they like it. And you guys are a brotherhood. You guys are all about family. You would welcome these kids with open arms and make them feel right at home. So where could they find you at?
Definitely. So we practice at a Hug High, guys. We're out at Hug High. We go Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. There's different classes. If you guys can, go to Predators Wrestling Club. We have an actual webpage. You could also find us on Instagram and on Facebook. We practice 3 days a week. We do other little camps and other things. Come on out. Look us up. Come check us out. We play tons of games. We do a lot of events. In the month of October, a couple of the things that we have coming up and going on are we're going to be doing small group camps every Friday. So just like a little wrestling camp for the kids. We're going to do a fall festival where we're encouraging our kids to bake something, cook something, hand in hand with their parents, bring it in for the team to enjoy. We're also going to do a pumpkin carving contest. And we're looking at trying to do a coat drive right now so that we can help the community out. So we got a lot of stuff going on, guys. Check us out, predatorswrestlingclub.com. We're also on Facebook. And come try out a free trial. Try a free week out. A lot of times people come for the free week and they never leave.
Yeah, see? So, I mean, there's a lot of kids who need that inspiration, that motivation, especially right now. You know, everything that, you know, happened during the pandemic, it feels like a lot of kids became more antisocial, right? So if you guys want to come out, you can check out predatorswrestlingclub.com, or you can check out their Facebook, Predators Wrestling, as well. Well, what's one advice? Well, what's one piece of advice that you can give to these young kids right now? If you're talking to one kid right now that is watching this, what's one piece of advice that you've learned through your journey that you can share with them?
Wrestling will teach you about life. Wrestling will definitely teach you about life. It'll teach you how to deal with things, right? Through losses, you learn how to deal with stuff, right? And in life, you might lose a job, okay? You're going to lose a lot of things. You might lose friends. You might lose family members. Wrestling teaches you how to navigate. And that's the biggest thing for me, that as an adult, as I deal with things and things come up, I'm constantly reminded, just bite down and keep moving forward. That's it. Bite down and keep moving forward. Keep going, keep training, and everything will work out. So that's the best piece of advice that I can give them. And just wrestling is going to teach you about life. And it's like no other sport.
There you go. I appreciate you coming on the Total Talk podcast, sharing your life experience, your journey, motivating others, inspiring others. Through your journey of coaching, you'll continue to just motivate kids, right, to keep coming, building generation kids, right? If that's even goal, you know, if whatever they want to do, college, wrestling, UFC, it doesn't matter. But most importantly, teaching them how to be a good human being.
Yes, of course.
So I appreciate you coming. Again, www.predatorswrestlingclub.com. You can check them out on Facebook at Predators Wrestling Club as well, and an Instagram as well. Thank you, cousin. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for checking us out. I look forward to coming back on and talking to you guys. And check us out, guys. If you're a wrestler and you're looking for a club, or you're just looking to get an extra workout in, come check us out. We're the only club in town that has a legit strength and conditioning class. That's from 5 to 6. We have an all-girls wrestling class. That's Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 to 6. We have a junior Predators wrestling class, which is for beginners, from 5 to 6, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we have our Predators Elite class for the advanced kids, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Come be a part of the family, guys. We accept everyone, welcome everyone with open arms, and we're there for each other. We lift each other up. We eat together. We train together. We cry together. We're truly a family.
And there you go. You have it there. Thank you for watching Total Talk Podcast. Peace.